Welcome to Operation Data Analytics. In this video, we're going to cover the subtotal function in Microsoft Excel. The subtotal function can be used to perform various calculations on a range of data while ignoring hidden and filtered cells. Before we begin, I do want to let you know that there is a free download link in the description for the sample workbook I will be using during this video. For our first objective, we're going to take a look at how to use the subtotal function and determine how it's different from regular functions like sum, count, average, etc. The subtotal function allows you to perform the 11 calculations shown in this chart, all within one function. The benefit of the subtotal function is that it's capable of ignoring hidden and filtered cells where normal functions are not. So if we take a look up above, I have regular functions for count and sum demonstrated in range D2 through D3, and then in cells D6 through D7, I have subtotal functions. These functions are located to the right, the actual formulas that are written. So you can see that the values of range D2 through D3 is equal to the values in D6 through D7. Now on the surface, they both appear as if they're calculating the same exact thing. The difference is going to come down to when we actually start performing filters. So what I'm going to go ahead and do to demonstrate this is I'm going to go ahead and filter the data below by a state. So let's go ahead and click on our filter for the state of sale. And then let's go ahead and select Missouri. Hit OK. So now you can see the only selection that we have below is the sale for 4-3 for Abigail Young in the state of Missouri for $301. And now if you look above, our ranges for our regular function and our subtotal functions are now showing different values. You can see in cell D2, we're still showing the 16 count, but now in cell D6, we're showing a count of 1. This is because the subtotal function recognizes that we have activated a filter in our range D9 through D25, so it is only going to perform the count on the cells that are actually showing. And the same thing with the sum function, it's only going to show the sales that are actually displayed below. Our next objective is going to be located on the Objective 2 tab. For our next objective, we're going to go ahead and use the subtotal function to sum the sales amount from the data below. So what I'm going to go ahead and do first is I'm going to click on cell D2, and now I'm going to go ahead and type equals subtotal, open parenthesis, and then you're going to go ahead and see a number of options actually pop up from a drop-down list. So you can see that there are 22 options total. You have options 1 through 11, and then you have options 101 through 111. So for cell D2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use option 9 because we want to see the sum below. So go ahead and double click on 9, insert a comma, and then left click on cell D5. And then using your keyboard, go ahead and hold Control Shift and then hit the down arrow key. This will select the range D5 through D22. Now go ahead and close your parenthesis and hit Enter on the keyboard. Next, we're going to go ahead and type equals subtotal. Now instead of using option number 9, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and locate option 109, which is also showing that it's a sum function. So go ahead and double click on 109, insert a comma, and now I'm going to left click on cell D5, and again with our keyboard shortcut, I'm going to hold Control Shift and hit the down arrow key. Verify that range D5 through D22 has been selected, and then close the parenthesis and hit Enter on the keyboard. So as you can see, both cells are showing the same sales amount. They're both showing $1,700. So on the surface, it would appear that both option 9 and option 109 are actually performing the same calculation. There is, in fact, an actual difference between these two calculations. So if you look over here on this chart, you can see that options 1 through 11 include hidden rows data, and then options 101 through 111 ignore hidden rows. So both option sets, when you start to filter down the data, will exclude all of the filtered amounts that cannot be seen. So for instance, if I go to state of sale and then I filter down by Iowa, for example, you can see that both calculations are showing $100. I'm going to go ahead and go up to my sort and filter option, and then I'm going to clear the filter. Now, the difference though is if I actually manually hide rows. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to go ahead and left click on row 7, and I'm going to hold and drag down until I have row 7 through row 22 selected. Next, I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to select hide from my drop-down menu. So this is the main difference between options 1 to 11 and 101 through 111. As you can see, the subtotal function that we were using when we selected 9 is still showing $1,700 because it's including all of the hidden rows that are manually hidden, whereas option 109 is not including any of the hidden rows that we manually hid. My recommendation personally is always to use options 101 through 111. The reason being is I think of the subtotal function as showing the totals for what I can visually see in a data range. So when I look at this, I don't really care if it's been manually hidden or if it's been hidden due to a filter. If I have gotten it to the point where the only thing I can see is a single row of data for a sales amount of $100, I expect the subtotal to reflect that information. For our next objective, we're going to go ahead and move over to the Objective 3 tab. For this objective, we're going to use the subtotal function to quickly calculate a count, sum, average, max, and min for the sales amounts below. So I'm going to start by clicking on cell D2, and then I'm going to type equals subtotal, open parenthesis. Now again, my recommendation is to use options 101 through 111. So I'm going to scroll down, and since we're trying to perform a count, I'm going to double click option 102. And then I'm going to type a comma. Next, I'm going to left click on cell D8, and then using my keyboard, I'm going to hold Control and Shift, and then I'm going to hit the down arrow key. Verify that range D8 through D3631 has been selected, and then go ahead and close your parenthesis and hit enter on the keyboard. So as you can see, our count is showing 3,623 sales records. Next, I'm going to go ahead and click on cell D3, and I'm going to type equals subtotal, open parenthesis, and then I'm going to scroll down and select option 109, which is sum. Insert a comma, and then I'm going to left click on cell D8, and then using the keyboard shortcut again, I'm going to hit Control Shift down, and then close my parenthesis. All right, for the next three, I'm going to go ahead and skip me typing out the formula, but it's the same exact process we were doing. It's just type the formula, find the function option, and then select the proper range. All right, now that all the subtotal functions are typed in, you can see how it's automatically performing all the calculations that we would expect. Now, the nice thing about this is how quickly all of these will update with any type of filter selection that we make. So let's say that we want to see all of the sales, for example, just on April 5th. I can go ahead and make that filter selection. And you can see that all of my cells in range D2 through D6 have automatically updated, and these are figures just showing based on April 5th. Now I'm going to continue to drill down on this information. So let's go ahead and select our state of sale. Let's go ahead and deselect everything, and then let's select the state of Maine. Again, you can see how our records have already updated to just showing the total information for the 3 records below. That's everything we have for this video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see more content like this in the future.